Welcome back to our channel, where you can find the latest news and fashion stories about Catherine, the Princess of Wales. Today we have some interesting news for you. Catherine steals people's heart in power colour outfits and style as she shines as a future queen. As a fashion blogger who wrote about Princess Catherine for 15 years, I am going to go into greater detail about one of the most talked about trends of 2026. It is not only Catherine's clothes, but also how carefully she chooses each colour. After more than 15 years of seeing her style change, one thing is clearly certain. Catherine does not only dress up to go out in public anymore. Her clothes show that she has a feeling of purpose, organisation, and calm strength. This was never more clear than during a breathtaking 48-hour period in March 2026, when she made a series of appearances that showed how strategic her fashion language had become. Let me begin. One of the most important events Catherine went to as Colonel of the regiment was the St. Patrick's Day parade that the Irish Guards took part in. On March 17, 2026, it happened in Aldershot. From the moment she got there, it was clear what the message was. She always wore emerald green, a colour that is intimately tied to both the regiment and Irish nationalism. Alexander McQueen made her attire, which featured a dress that matched, and a double-breasted coat with a very tight shape. The shape was rigid and had a feeling of self-assurance. It was cinched at the waist with a black belt that gave it both definition and power. To get a perfect mix of traditional ceremony and modern style, she added a green felt hat by Gina Foster, black gloves, a matching scarf, and Ralph Lauren suede boots to the outfit. Both the accessories and the accessories were looked at very closely. A traditional shamrock pin made her connection to the regiment further clearer, while emerald and diamond earrings from Asbury added a subtle touch of brightness to her ensemble. Fashionistas were more interested in the fact that she chose to wear the coat again, not the colour or the fit. Catherine's choice showed that she was stable, durable, and in charge of her image, at a time when many famous people are continually seeking something new to do. A fashion editor from the UK later called the outfit a masterclass in continuity, saying that it did not copy style, but rather strengthened identity. Fans quickly agreed with such a point of view. There was a lot of talk about how she no longer only wears green for the Irish Guards, but now represents them. A quote that was widely shared and perfectly captured the moment made this clear. Catherine showed up at Windsor Castle less than 24 hours later, on March 18, 2026, to receive the President and First Lady of Nigeria, who were in town on an official state visit. At this time, the visual message changed completely. She chose a soothing grey colour scheme instead of usually employing green, to give the impression of diplomacy and control. Tolu Coker, a British-Nigerian designer, made her a coat dress that was both well organised and not too obvious in its shape. The clean lines and delicate white trim, which were inspired by naval design, gave it a tone that was both elegant and appropriate for the occasion. The making of the garment, on the other hand, hid the part of the garment that stood out the most. A lace-up corset on the back gave the dress a modern touch that is so rare in royal wardrobes that it indicated a subtle change in her style without breaking any rules. She completed the look with a structured black pocketbook, dark heels, and a grey hat that went with the outfit and had a beautiful white bow on it. She chose pearl drop earrings for her jewellery. Princess Diana had worn them before. This option let her feel like she was still connected to her feelings. People who know a lot about fashion knew right away how important this look was. One editor called it diplomacy via restraint, saying that the colour kept the focus on the guests instead of Catherine, even though she was the main topic. Fans also liked how well the modern and traditional styles work together. One person said that she honours the past without being defined by it, while numerous others pointed out the indirect reference to Diana. At this very moment, grey was more than just a neutral hue. Because of this, it became a deliberate sign of balance, respect, and tranquility. A few hours later, however, everything had changed. Catherine went to the state banquet at Windsor Castle on March 18, 2026. And that night, she made one of the year's most important fashion statements. She went back to emerald green. But this time, she looked utterly different. On this occasion, the hue was elevated to full ceremonial status by a robe made by Andrew Gien. The design included a high neckline, dramatic billowing sleeves, and a flowing pleated skirt that moved gracefully with each step. These things came together to give off an image of strength and elegance. The dress was not the only item that changed. Queen Elizabeth II donned the Queen Mary Lover's Knot tiara, which has been linked to Princess Diana for a long time. She also wore sapphire and diamond earrings that were part of her collection. A royal ribbon and a family order emblem completed the costume, both of which made the occasion seem even more important. The choice of green was once again a representation of Nigeria's national spirit, but this time it was far more important than it had been previously. When it came to consideration, alignment was no longer the only thing that mattered. It was also about having leadership skills, being present, and having a symbolic significance. This style, according to those who have a great deal of knowledge about fashion, was an excellent example of how power, tradition, and diplomacy can all work together to great effect. As a result of the fact that it tied Catherine to both Diana and the late Queen in a single photograph, an informed source said that it was more than simply a piece of jewellery. It was also a connection across generations. The tiara served as a bridge between the many generations. Not only was the reaction from the general public prompt, but it was also very large in scale. Quite a few individuals referred to it as her defining moment, and the message of respect quickly travelled throughout various social media platforms. Someone made the observation that it was her queen moment, while another individual observed that she was no longer training for the part, but was already living it. There was a difference between these two statements. As you take into consideration all of these different looks together, you will see that a distinct pattern begins to emerge. Within a span of only 2 days, Catherine went through 3 different job changes. In terms of colour and presentation, each position was distinct from the others. By the 17th of March, the colour emerald green had become synonymous with both loyalty and affiliation with the military. The sky was a very light grey the next morning, which was a symbol of moderation and diplomacy in front of the situation that had arisen. During this evening, the message became stronger and more royal as a result of turning back to green.